I think you move into that kind of like next level of artistry when you take a step back and you say, you know what, I'm going to write the song and I don't care if it's for me or not. Like, I'm willing to give it away. I'm willing to have another artist sing it.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's Nasipi Zwane, and I'm back again with another episode of Sludge Underground Podcast. And today I've got Gino Lee, a very incredible creative here who's a producer. He's also an artist. This man comes obviously from overseas as well. You know, he's been there, obviously appearing or making appearances in music videos for the likes of Mary J Blige, and obviously Owl City. You know, obviously he's done production as well, all the way up in North Hollywood, and you know, now owns a studio here in South Africa, where he basically nurtures, you know, the upcoming talents. But there's a lot more to Gino, which we're obviously going to be unpacking in this episode. But I'm super excited to have you here, Gino. How are you doing, man?
Hey Nasib, I'm doing great, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on today.
Yeah, that is epic. And I obviously want to send a massive shout out to Genevieve of Indie Does It PR for making this interview possible.
Yeah.
And, you know, jumping straight into it, one of the things that I mentioned, obviously, in your EPK is that you are a Sony recording artist. So, what does that mean? And what is it like being a Sony recording artist? Because you think of Sony and you think of only the biggest artists.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty blessed to be, associated with Sony Music Publishing. I've been working with them for a couple of years now, and I think it's really an awesome space to be in. You know, they're great. I think a lot of people also don't understand first off the difference between recording labels and publishers. Those are two very different things. I'm with Sony Music Publishing, and they take care of the songs that I write, looking for sync placements, as well as kind of being in track and in charge of royalty collection. So, but they've been great. They've been great. I've been working with them for a lot of years, and they also do really special stuff where they work with upcoming artists as well, and they want producers and writers to work with these upcoming artists and stuff. So it's awesome to be in that space amongst those kind of creative people.
I feel like it's such an underrated thing, you know, when you're looking at publishing,
Hmm.
you know, when you mention sync deals there and so on and so forth. Just briefly, what are sort of some of the benefits for anyone who might be looking, you know, and maybe diving into or working with a publisher and so forth? For you personally as well, I mean, working with Sony, being a publisher, what do you feel some of the benefits are?
It comes down to the mindset of artists, I think. To me, an artist that is just starting out, the mindset is quite small, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to make music, I'm going to perform it, and I'm going to get it to radio, right? But there is so much more in this industry and that the industry has to offer. And I think a lot of times artists have to remove the ego from the situation because very much it's like, oh, I'm going to write a song and it's my song. I'm writing it and I'm going to perform it. It's all about me. But I think you move into that kind of like next level of artistry when you take a step back and you say, you know what, I'm going to write the song and I don't care if it's for me or not. Like, I'm willing to give it away. I'm willing to have another artist sing it. So I think it's really special when when that kind of thing happens. And the publishing houses are kind of like the hub for those kind of things happening. Publishing houses offer things like sync licensing deals. For those who don't know what that is, that's basically when your song gets kind of associated or put on a commercial or in a big TV show. A story that I like to tell one of some of my artists is that I'm sure everyone's familiar with Lizzo, right? If you look at her backstory, like she was struggling for years, right? She had like quite a big following, but what really broke her was a placement in a Netflix TV show, and that was sync licensing. So people really underestimate the power, of these opportunities that are out there.
That is absolutely spot on. It's something that we try to preach as well on the podcast, you know, when you bring in, you know, certain publishers and so on and so forth. I'm so glad that you actually shed light on that, you know. Thank you for that there. As someone that has actually performed, you know, internationally, or both nationally and internationally as well, I want you to let me know about some of the differences you'd say when you're looking at South Africa, you know, in the entertainment sort of platform and scene and such. Is there some catching up maybe to do, or would you say we were basically on par? What are some of the key differences between, you know, maybe say being an artist here in South Africa and maybe, you know, being an artist performing overseas as well?
So I think the artist scene in South Africa, I think from a pop perspective, has grown, substantially. And I'm going to talk about kind of like performances and kind of like artists in general. I think a couple of years ago, like about 10 years ago, there's a lot of talk about, yeah, South Africa is still upcoming. I think we're here. We're here, dude. Like, I mean, Tyler just won a Grammy Award the other day. So I think we are literally on that level. And when it comes to performing in America was amazing because I was able to perform on like iconic stages and iconic venues, like the Apollo Theater in Harlem, as well as the Village Underground in New York, where, Lady Gaga had a very first performance. So it was really cool performing in these spaces. And I think it gives you a lot of perspective. But these spaces are just spaces, right? To me, it's more about the vibe and the energy of the community in that space. And I think that South Africa has something special. When you perform a gig here in South Africa, there's an energy that's unlike any other. South Africa's come with their own brand of awesome gees and liveliness and love for music that I think you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. You spot on there when you say we've arrived, with obviously Tyler doing what she has done. I mean, looking at Tyler, just while we're on that there, you are someone who has, obviously having worked internationally. We mentioned, production out there in North Hollywood as well. If you do have any insight, if I'm an artist from South Africa, what are some of the steps that I would need to take to get to a point where I'm now Grammy nominated? Is there a formula even, or would you say some of it boils down to luck? What like, paint a picture for me if you are in a position to.
Yo, it's there's a lot, it's no easy feat, being a Tyler. You touched on something that's real over there. There's a lot of like right place, right time vibes, but I think there is no replacement for hard work and consistency. I think if we look at her as a case study, she had that. The first time I heard of her was that song. Was it Getting Late with Cool Drink? That was like a couple of years ago, right? So that was the first time I heard of her. But I think with artists like Tyler and even like another one that's coming to mind now is Will Lindley, they've got a really good team. I don't really know how they kind of manage to get the people around them, but I think suffice to say, having a really good team around you is super, super important. So consistency, a good team, removing the ego from the situation. I tell a lot of artists as well, like another way into the industry is writing for other people. You look at artists like BB Rexa, Megan Trainor. Those artists wrote for other artists for years, right? And it's such a nice way to come into the industry because you kind of like build yourself kind of in the background working with industry people, and then you get to the point where you get given the chance to perform your own song. But I think with Tyler now specifically, it was also the song. She had an incredible song. Water is, in my mind, it's like a pop masterpiece, or one of the best pop masterpieces like out of the last 5 years. I think it's an incredibly well written song, and they were super clever. The team was super clever as well with kind of pushing the viralness of the song as well on TikTok. And I think that really, really blasted her into like the stratosphere. So it's a couple of things, but I think it's kind of like the combination of consistency and then being ready when it's the right time.
100% there. You obviously did work at Skylight Studios out in North Hollywood. What are some of the things that you picked up, working in that studio that maybe you were not aware of while working maybe in some of the studios here in South Africa?
Yeah, so about 5 or 6 years, maybe even more now. I stayed in Los Angeles for 2 years and I built up quite a few contacts and kind of one thing led to another. And I, met people that introduced me to an amazing producer by the name of Matt Henry. So he hosts, he owns rather, a recording studio called Skylight Studios in North Hollywood. I mean, I think it was such a blessing to work with him. I learned so much about the industry just kind of being in the studio and working kind of hands on. And not many people know this, but like when I started working with Matt, like it was very much internship vibes. I remember the first day working, he made me build a quadratic diffuser. So for those of you who don't know what that is, it's kind of like it's almost like something that captures sound waves in a studio. That's like this kind of the simplest way to explain it. So I kind of started from the bottom up, as an intern in a studio, which is really cool. And, by the end of it, I was obviously assistant producing a lot of the artists coming in there and kind of contributing to sessions as well. And it turned into a really fruitful relationship because we actually also ended up making music together. He actually had a EP that he released, and I jumped on one of the tracks, and it ended up being a song called "Don't Do This." 2019, I traveled to LA again, and we recorded a music video, and it's done pretty well on YouTube. So I think with those relationships, it's really cool when it blossoms from more than just like a working relationship, and he's actually somebody that I've collabed with now, which is again another really cool thing about being in this industry.
Very beautiful. Just those connections that you were able to make, man, from the position that you initially started out with, is absolutely incredible. We also mentioned in the beginning, obviously music video appearances. You mentioned Mary J Blige being one of them. Owl City, obviously the more prominent names. Obviously you've been in countless. There's many more that are there. Walk me through the sort of behind the scenes process. It's something that we touched on with Katya. Shout out to Katya. And shout out again to Genevieve for that one there, where her music video, one of her music videos was absolutely amazing, and I wanted her to give me sort of like some insights in terms of what it takes to actually prepare and get the end product to come out the way that it is, because not a lot of people have experienced that sort of thing. It's like, well, you finally saved up enough money as an artist, now you're going to shoot a music video, now what? So for you and the music video appearances that you've had, obviously Owl City, Mary J Blige, the rest of them, what are some of the essential things that you sort of learned from those experiences in preparing for something like that?
That was such a fun period in my life. That was also around the time that I was staying in LA. It was incredible just to be on set of these music videos for really, really big artists, and just to kind of see the level of production value. It's a once in a lifetime experience. So I'm really grateful that I was able to have those experiences, and obviously work with the agents that I was working with at that time in LA. And also even a quick shout out to my agency, 33andMe Talent Agency, LCB for Linden, the chair of the agency. It was kind of through her that I was able to even get to that level where I was in LA with an agent, booking music videos, booking TV shows, and doing the things. So shout out to LCB. But yeah, man, like being on set is super, super eye opening. I think, like I mentioned, at that level, there's so much that goes into it. And I think people underestimate what it takes to kind of put on like a really, really big budget music video. But then again, at the same time, if your song, to me, it's all about the song. Sure, visuals can really aid and really help a song, but to me, it's always about the heart of the song. And I've seen music videos that have been made, for much less as well, perform really well. So, I mean, I think a lot of artists as well use that as an excuse to say, oh no, like I don't have this much money, or I need this person in my team to make a cool music video. I don't think that should be kind of the attitude towards that. I think if you're smart about it and if you're creative enough, you can make really, really cool stuff with, little to even no budget. But I think from the being on those two side of extremes, it's really cool to kind of like make those comparisons. But I mean, all in all, it was a super awesome experience to kind of, butt heads and meet these amazing people, like Mary J Blige, like you said, Whole City. I remember meeting Jessie J as well. Bia Miller, I was on the set of one of her music videos when she was like still 15 years old, I think. So yeah, it's been a wild ride, but I think there's a lot to be said about the difference in production quality, and then also at the same time not letting it inhibit you or stop you as an artist from making something creative and something cool for cheap as well, if need be.
Very beautiful, man. I'm loving these answers. Gino, you're an absolute genius, man.
Thanks, man.
Obviously, now you're the owner of River Road Records. You're doing the beautiful work. You're out there developing the upcoming artists and so on. What have you sort of been teaching? I don't know if you go this far with them, obviously, it being a studio and such. Is there any sort of insight that you give these artists when it comes to social media? Because it does seem like it's one of the driving forces when it comes to in today's age, when it comes to, you mentioned the virality, or just Tyler and her team making sure that the song went viral. So what sort of knowledge do you sort of bring forth when it comes to the talent that you work with at River Road Records?
So a bit more about me and my journey to get to the River Road Records era that I'm in now. I was a performer for many years, so I think my trajectory and my journey has changed a lot over the years, and it's kind of settled into this phase now where I find most fulfillment in giving back. to others, writing music for other people, producing music for other people, and kind of seeing that twinkle in their eye when they hear something that's really cool that is now theirs, right? That came from nothing, an idea that came from their own brain. So that really, really fulfills me. With that being said, and with that being the space that I'm in now, I'm kind of at this point in time in really awesome situation as well, where I don't know if you remember earlier, I mentioned LCB for Linden from 33andMe agency. I'm an alumni now at that agency, and I also get invited twice a year to teach at boot camps that she hosts. And at this boot camp, they have aspiring artists, singer-songwriters, actors, models, dancers from all across the country, and they come to Pretoria for a boot camp for the weekend. And I'm privileged enough that they've asked me as an alumni for about 5-6 years now to come in and teach, and kind of give back what I've learned as a musician and as a performer over the past over 10 years now. So I'm really blessed to be in that space, and I find it super fulfilling. Like what you said earlier, there is a lot to teach. A lot of artists come in with really good voices, but they don't have that background of social media training, how to perform on a stage, how to engage with an audience, how to manage your music, the business of music. Because also being an artist in this day and age, you have to do it all, especially if you're an independent artist. You wear so many hats. And I think it's quite eye-opening for musicians that are coming into the industry when they realize all that it actually takes to be an independent musician. So at these boot camps, I kind of give that information. I take what I've learned over the 10 years and I share it with these aspiring artists. And when it comes to the recording studio, it's the same. But I think the focus with my recording studio is obviously producing a body of work. The way that I work is we have Zoom sessions. So I have Zoom sessions with my client where we write the song, over video call, and we kind of work back and forth with ideas, and we produce and we write the song over probably 2 to 3 sessions. And then when the song is done, they either fly down to my studio in GQ in Klebecha, where we record the song, or they come to Cape Town and I meet them here and they record at Kosher Studios. But I think the whole process of songwriting in itself is so enlightening and eye-opening that it doesn't really need to be taught. It kind of just needs to be experienced. And I kind of make that process organic in that way. Obviously, as we're writing, I drop tips along the way. After the song is done, I do have another session with my clients where we talk about the business of music, how to get your songs on digital streaming platforms, how to maximize the song's potential. Because I think also what happens is that, and what makes me so sad as well, is that artists come in and they record the most beautiful song, but then they don't know how to market the song properly. And sometimes they don't even market the song at all because they just don't realize how much it actually takes to have a successful release. So we go through all of that. We go through how to market the song, how to manage it online, how to sign up with Samro, a lot of admin related things. But those things, like I said, are so important, in the culmination of what it means to be an artist in this day and age.
Give me at least one of the golden tips that you would give. Obviously, I do feel like, as you said, you mentioned them being your clients, and I really hope that from this episode, if anyone is listening, they do know that they can obviously reach out to you if they want to sort of, go down that sort of path. But just sort of as a teaser or as a sample, you mentioned marketing being the golden word, something that, many an upcoming artist sort of struggles with. Give me one key sort of like tip for an upcoming artist and marketing.
Right. So one thing that I speak about in the introduction of the session, and it's a simple idea, but it's 2 words that I feel like a lot of artists get confused with, and they kind of use interchangeably when they start off in the industry. And those 2 words in marketing are called reach, and the other word is called engagement. A lot of people don't actually understand what these 2 words really mean. So a nice way that I break it down is reach is potential, right? So when you're on a social media platform and you'll see a pop-up that says this content or this post has the potential to reach so and so many people, that is the potential number of people that will see content. When it comes to engagement, that is the metric that artists need to be focusing on. It's an indication of the number of people that are actively engaging with your content on a regular basis. So what we do when we go through these marketing sessions is we focus on tips and tricks on how to improve engagement with your song, and how to have organic growth in engagement of your song. But I guess that would be a little tip that I give in the very beginning, is just understanding the difference between those two terms, because a lot of artists get it twisted. They don't really understand. Another kind of analogy that I give is that you'll sometimes find on Instagram people have like 100,000 followers or like 50,000 followers, but their posts only get like 3 likes. So that means they've got a reach of 50,000 people, but they've only got an engagement of 3 people, right? So that's an clear indication of high reach, low engagement, which doesn't really help anybody, and it doesn't really constitute and help organic growth as a musician or an artist or whatever you are in the industry. So yeah, that's kind of one tip that I give.
Very beautiful, and I'm pretty sure that anyone that might want to maybe work with you as well, we are going to get your handles now that we're at the end of the show. We'll obviously get a lot more insights because I mean, dude, I've spoken to Shania, who has obviously also worked with you. She mentioned you in her episode as well, and just how amazing her music sounds. I for one do know, how powerful, and how good the results are when it comes to working with Gino Lee. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time aside today to have this conversation with me. If anyone wants to get in touch with you or work with you in any capacity, maybe come down to River Road Records, where are the handles? How do we find you?
Cool. So I'm on all the social media. On Instagram, I'm at Mr. Gino Lee, MRGINOLEE. And the studio is River Road Music. That is our studio handle on Instagram. If you want to find more about me and my journey, just Google Gino Lee and all my socials will be there. And if you want to get in touch, you can DM us, DM the studio on Instagram at River Road Music. Thanks so much for having me, man. This was a really cool discussion. This is a really cool chat. I really loved it.
Hey, anytime, and I hope it's not the last time that we have you on the show as well, man.
Yeah. Thanks for the support, dude. I appreciate it.
Sweet, anytime. And for anyone listening to this, I want to just thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you learned as much as I did and had as good a time as I did. I want to send again a massive shout out to Genevieve and Indie Does It PR for making this interview possible. And as for Sludge Underground, we have our website, www.sludgeunderground.com. That's where you'll find all our episodes. If you want some merch, it's sludgeunderground.store. So do check that out. It's the best way to support us. We also have a YouTube channel now as well, so be sure to go and subscribe to that. And as for myself, it's @Zwane01 on all handles. Until next time, it is bye for now.